Podcast Answer Man, episode number 378.
Entertaining, educational, and encouraging content that makes a difference.
This is GSPN.TV.
Join the community.
Hello, everyone. This is Michael Hyatt from This Is Your Life and MichaelHyatt.com. You're listening to the man who has trained more people to podcast than anyone else on the planet. My friend Cliff Ravenscraft. He is the Podcast Answer Man.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Podcast Answer Man. My name is Cliff Ravenscraft, and this, my friends, is the podcast devoted to taking your message, your business, and your life to the next level. That's right, my friends. It does not matter if you're brand new to this online content creating world that we live in, or if you've been creating content for many years. There's something we can all do to take everything we do in life to the next level. That's right, my friends. And one of the things that I like to attempt to take to the next level is the awareness of podcasting to the mainstream, to the normal people. The normal people, you know, those folks who kind of like, they're just not as into technology as maybe some of us. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, normal people, the non-nerdcast people. That's an inside joke that I'm going to let you in on in just a moment here as I talk about some of the ways that podcasting is getting some amazing exposure in the mainstream media. And so recently I've talked about articles, Fast Company, the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, all these different places talking about it, magazines, online, just normal people every day are being, well, not every day. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but on a fairly consistent basis, mainstream media, as far as the news outlets, have been expressing the popularity or talking about the popularity and the growing phenomenon that is podcasting. Started back in 2004, 2005, but as a result of the smartphone, definitely gaining new territory, new heights of popularity, and I'm certainly excited about that. But today, I am totally excited about sharing with you how it's even reaching television in a big way now. Now, the first thing that I'm going to share with you is something from a television show on ABC called The Middle. Now, my mom and dad watch this show, and they keep telling me, Cliff, you have to watch this. It's so hilarious. And I've just never got around to watching this television show, The Middle. I hear it's great, just haven't watched it myself. However, on Facebook, my friend Brad Shiflett said, Cliff, you have to watch this week's episode of The Middle. And the reason is because it was going, this week's episode was going to give a pretty significant plug to podcasting. It was going to give some exposure to podcasting. And lo and behold, Brad sent me a link to a video that he created for me showing the highlights of that exposure. And it was great. In fact, what I've decided to do is to kind of piece together just little bits and pieces of the various parts of this television show. Mainstream media, millions of people watching television are being exposed to podcasting in this way. Have a listen to this. This is, by the way, just to set this up for you, one of the main characters, his name is Brick Heck. He's a young man. I don't know how old he is. If I had to guess, he looks like he's somewhere between 12 to 16, but I'm getting so old that he's probably 25. I have no idea. But seriously, he's a younger guy, and his mom is, interacting with him here. His brother's interacting in one of the scenes, and he is setting up a podcast devoted to those who are interested in fonts. Yes, the thing, like the way that letters show up on your screen. Anyway, that's all I think I need to do to set it up, and pretty interesting reveal at the end as well. So I'll just go ahead and let this play and speak for itself. Totally awesome stuff.
Check. Hello? Hello?
You're not trying to FaceTime the president again, are you?
No, that's ridiculous. I'm starting my own podcast.
Hey, that could be fun.
It's for the people who are interested in fonts.
Oh. Well, why don't you do that and the president thing and see who answers first?
Hi, I'm Brick Heck, and this is the Fontcast, or Footloose and Fancy Free. Still working on the title. Feel free to call in with suggestions. Today's topic is the raging debate of font versus typeface and Times New Roman's place in all of it. Then, in our last segment, we'll get into the issue of kerning, which for those of you who don't know, as if, is the spacing between characters. Now, this is a very hot topic inside of the font community. When are you guys going to be done with the computer? I have to do my Fontcast. The second show is very important. My fan is counting on me.
Brick, we're busy. I don't think the world's gonna miss your Nerdcast for one day.
Fine, I'll just run my best of yesterday. But I trust you two will answer the angry letter. Ooh.
Hey, Brick. How's the podcast going?
I gotta tell you, it's a real grind. You gotta churn out show after show after show.
Haven't you only done like 3?
Yeah, show after show after show.
What are you doing it for, then?
Well, I do it for the fan. Without the fan, I'm nothing. You'd better finish up that vacuuming. I'm gonna have a hot mic in a minute. We're talking Garamond today. How am I gonna get fired up for that? And remember, any more than 3 fonts in the same document and you're just showing off.
Hey, you doing your...
So in conclusion, it's with a heavy heart that I announce that this will be my final Fontcast. When I started on Monday, I was a different person. That first show was an incredible high. The second was a little less so, and by the third, well, I was just going through the motions. I've always said when I didn't have the joy anymore, I'd walk away. It wouldn't be fair to you, the fan, to keep going. I just want to thank you for allowing me into your home for the better part of a week. I leave you with this. Your choice of font says more about you than the words it's written in. If you're feeling bold, always italicize. And don't be afraid to let your freak font fly. I'm Brick Heck, and it has been my honor. That was a little harder than I thought it'd be.
Oh, hey, you were on longer than a lot of font shows.
You're on in 5, Jimmy.
You give me a minute, I just lost my favorite Fontcast. Guy went out on top, too. So classy. What is that, Helvetica again? What a surprise. Can't throw in any Century Gothic every once in a while? What are we, animals?
All right, so there you go. Wow. Not only am I excited about the fact that podcasting got some exposure in a mainstream television show on network television, but the writers who wrote it obviously know their stuff, and there's some great stuff inside of here. First of all, I love the fact that he created a podcast about fonts. This is a perfect example of what podcasting is great for, about creating something that is so narrowly niched focused. And the reality is, just hearing the little bit that Brick Heck did of the little bits that we heard of his podcast, what an amazing show. What an awesome topic for a podcast. Matter of fact, I'm certain there have to be, I haven't looked, but I'm certain there have to be podcasts out there devoted to fonts. And if there's not, and you happen to be a font geek, then why not? Why haven't you created that podcast yet? There's at least one fan out there looking for a new Fontcast. Anyway, and by the way, if you didn't catch it at the end, that was Jimmy Kimmel. So the show had ended and they had one, closing scene, and the closing scene, I love, he says, my fan is counting on me. And, sure. Okay. I'll do the replay of the best of yesterday, but you're going to be the one who answers that angry letter, all in the singular. I love it. But here's what I love is that, he's alluding. So the brother says, so why do you do it? He says, well, I do it for the fan. Without the fan, I'm nothing. And of course, that's kind of a play, and it's kind of making fun of some of us who, why do we podcast? Well, we do it for the fans, or we do it for the community. We do it for the listeners. We do it. I do a lot of what I'm doing for you. I'll be honest with you and tell you that I do a lot of this for me as well, but I do it for you as well. I do it because what I'm doing, I believe, it allows me to help you in some way. I'm providing entertainment. I'm providing education. I hope that not only am I providing entertainment and education, but I'm also a source of encouragement to you. And it's my hope that there might be something that I share that will inspire you. So that's why I do it. I do it for the fan. I do it for you. So absolutely. I love that. I do it for, and here's the thing. And of course, now, again, the closing scene is he does have one fan. He has one listener out there. And that listener happens to be Jimmy Kimmel. And of course, the thing where he says, what is that, Helvetica? What you may not have picked up on if you haven't seen this is he's actually talking to the guy who holds up the cue cards for his Jimmy Kimmel show. And so I love that they brought Jimmy Kimmel into it. This is, in my mind, this is huge. I love what this means for podcasting. I don't think that I'm making this bigger of a bigger deal than it is. I think it's a huge deal for podcasting. Wow, huge. And not only that, but I love the whole idea of the fan. I do it for the fan. And I love that for Brick Heck, he was creating this content and he was very satisfied with the fact that he had one fan. There is so much power, so much value in having just one person who's tuning in consistently to hear what you have to say, to hear your message. I believe that strongly. I always talk about in many of the talks that I do, just the value that exists in having 4 subscribers that listen to Podcast Answer Man. But the reality is I go into great detail about those 4 individuals that I'm just blown away that consistently listen to this show. But the reality is that there are so many more out there. And the reality is that every single one of you who are listening to my voice, you're important, you're valuable. And matter of fact, I'm going to be doing an opening keynote address for a specific conference that I'm going to tell you about a little bit later in the show. And I already know what I'm going to say from the stage, what message I'm going to give to the audience that's at that conference. And it has all to do about having such a healthy respect and uncovering or discovering or digging deep and finding the treasure that exists in the folks that are already listening to your show. Wow, so much. So I love how much they went into this one fan, right? I love the little things, it's a real grind. You have to churn out show after show after show. I love the little throwaway joke of, it's like, yeah, I've got 3 show after show after show. I love that. And then, of course, by the second episode, he's like, oh man, I got to talk about Helvetica. How am I going, what do you say? How am I going to get fired up about that? And that is true. There are some times when I come to the microphone and I'm like, man, how am I going to get fired up today? And I do believe in the power of getting fired up, my friends. I do believe it's important that when we get behind the microphone, if it's possible, without faking it, can we bring real passion, real enthusiasm to what we're talking about? And if it's Garamond, how am I going to get fired up about Garamond? But, sometimes you have to talk about some things in your show that maybe aren't as exciting for you. And you know what? Podcasting at times can be a real grind. Anyway, I love that. I love, like he says, listen, I did my first episode. It was fun, exciting. Second episode. By the 3rd, I was just going through the motions. And do you want to know something? That may actually sound funny. It may sound like it was written as a joke, but it's reality. It's actual truth for a lot of people. And oftentimes I believe it's because, well, they actually chose a topic that wasn't the right topic for them. Anyway, I think it's great. I think that is definitely an example of how podcasting is being taken to the next level when it comes to its exposure to the mainstream, to the normal people in this world. Or are they normal? Anyway, I don't know. So I just wanted to share that with you, but that's not all. Something else really exciting happened this week, and it also has to do with podcasting and some exposure on television, and it happened on a different network. Now, before I told you about ABC's The Middle. Well, we're going to switch networks, turn the dial here, and we're going to switch over to NBC, because this week podcasting got some great exposure, and I'm honored to say and very humbled to say that I also got some great exposure on NBC. You see, my friend Mike Wendland, he is a tech reporter for NBC television, and he does this weekly report called PC Mike. You can find his website over at PCMike.com, and he does tech reporting for, I think it's 215 NBC television stations, all of the affiliates in America. And he submits these tech reports for NBC News. Well, anyway, I want to go ahead and play for you the clip. This is some more exposure, again, on television for podcasting. Have a listen to this.
The podcast trend jump-started earlier this year after Apple started including its new podcast app on the iPhone and iPads. There are now so many podcasts out there on the iTunes Store, almost all of them free, that you'll find podcast shows aimed at literally whatever interest, whatever passion you have. And then there's Stitcher, which works on Apple and Android devices. It's like a huge catalog of podcasts, all downloadable, free for mobile devices. And those are just the big podcast apps. Do a search on podcast apps and you will be overwhelmed. That's how big podcasts have become. One of the most popular of the podcasts out there, you guessed it, it's a podcast about how to podcast by this guy, Cliff Ravenscraft, known as the Podcast Answer Man. His show has spawned thousands of other podcasts, including many at the top of the podcasting charts. Why so many podcasts? Well, because anyone can try their hand at reaching the world with not much more than an electronic megaphone that consists of just a headset and an internet connection.
You want more information on this? Head over to my PC Mike Tech blog. There's my address on your screen. I've built in direct links to everything you just saw. Till next time, I'm PC Mike Wendland for NBC News.
All right, so there you go. On NBC News this week, on ABC this week, exciting week for podcasting on television. So very exciting. Wow, I'm beside myself. But anyway, so real quickly, I just want to say thank you to Brad Shiflett for giving me the information and telling me and cluing me in about this awesome exposure on The Middle. And also, very personal thank you, Mike Wendland, for including me in your tech report on podcasting. I am humbled. I am honored. I am so incredibly thankful for that exposure. And also, thank you for giving the exposure to podcasting that I believe it honestly deserves out there in the mainstream media. So awesome stuff. In fact, I want to encourage you guys. Mike Wendland actually just launched his very first podcast of his own over at roadtrekking.com. That's road, TREKING.com. And it is a podcast devoted to the lifestyle of motorhomes. Or the motorhome lifestyle, I should say. But anyway, if any of you out there are mobile home fans, you like to travel the United States in a motorhome, not mobile home, but motorhome. That's what I actually meant to say. Go check out roadtrekking.com. Let's see here. The next topic that I have for you is not necessarily as exciting, although I am as passionate about this topic as I am what we've already been talking about. And I'm going to title this segment, Beware of the Grow Big and Get Rich Quick Systems for Podcasting. That's right. Beware of anybody out there that tends to lead you into thinking that you can grow big quick and get rich quick. Now, here's the deal. I mean, a lot of people have, you probably have seen get rich quick schemes or scams or systems all over the internet. This is not new. This whole get rich quick stuff. It's relatively new to podcasting, although there are some folks who tried to wiggle their way into the podcasting community back in 2005. And when they discovered that they were not going to get rich quick, well, they pretty much predicted that, or they pretty much threw in the towel, left everybody, and said that podcasting was dead. Boy, were they wrong. But anyway, that community of get rich quick people, they're back. They've come back to podcasting. And in fact, now that they actually see some people out there who have a podcast, some of them have grown big, some of them even relatively quickly, and some of them have had the opportunity to make a generous income from their podcasting efforts. And now what's going on is I see at a lot of places where now they're taking a handful of people, and I'm actually talking about less number of people than I have fingers on one hand. All right. They take that number of people and they say, hey, here are these 3 people or 4 people or 5 people. And they're telling thousands and tens of thousands of people that look at these many podcasters who are getting rich. In fact, let me just share with you where this topic is coming from. Recently, somebody had reached out to me and asked me if I would joint venture in promoting a brand new system that they were about ready to release related to the podcasting space. In fact, I was reached out to by the affiliate manager. Somebody else who was on the affiliate team reached out a different way, and even the developer himself reached out to me to ask me if I would participate in helping to promote this system or this actual software solution. And let's see here. I'm just reading from my notes here because I want to make sure that I get through this quickly and efficiently. I don't want to go on and on and on and just, have a huge monologue that's all over the place. So if you'll bear with me as I go through kind of these notes in a specific way. But the first thing that I had written here is I want to tell you that if I would have entered into an affiliate relationship with this product, I could stand to make many thousands of dollars. And I dare say, I could potentially over the next couple of years, I could make tens of thousands of dollars in commissions if I were to say, yes, sign me up. I definitely want to help promote that to my audience. However, I want to tell you that I turned it down simply because I had no peace at all about the messaging that was behind the video that promoted this affiliate opportunity. All right. Now, here's what I want to tell you. I am not going to share with you the name of this product that I chose not to joint venture with. What I will say for you is that I've actually shared my very strong reaction to the video that promoted the JV opportunity or joint venture opportunity. And he was very receptive to a lot of the things that I'm going to share with you right here in this episode. In fact, so much so that he decided to completely pull down that video completely. I mean, and of course, I'm going to tell you, the video was very well done. It was one of those very professional, very slick looking, very appealing, visually appealing videos. And I have no doubt that it was quite an investment to have that video made. But not just the scripting of it, but the actual production of the video. It was something that it's beyond what I have at the top of podcasting A to Z. I'll just put it that way. If you go to podcastingatoz.com, see my video, the quality of production was even a notch or two above what I've ever done for myself. So I know that there's an investment. I know how much it cost me to do the video on podcastingatoz.com. So I think it's great that the developer decided to pull it down. And one of the things, I actually had a Skype conversation with this person, and I want to tell you that what I am about to do, I am going to, in my own words, demonize the message that was in that video. But I do not wish to demonize the product software solution that this guy is coming out with or the person himself. In fact, I can tell you that this person does have a conscience, and his own personal beliefs, from what he's telling me, does not line up with the video that was created for the joint venture or for the potential affiliates. And as a result of some of my thoughts, he took it down. Also, I have not seen this video or this actual product yet, although I have been given I've been told that I'll get free copy of it, not so that I will review it and talk about it positive or anything like that, but just so that I get to see it. From what I hear, it's a solution that I've seen a couple people try to do before. This seems to be done at a higher level that I've ever seen it done before, and I believe it probably will be a solution that will be appealing to a certain number of people. It's not something from what I know about this software solution, it's not going to be a software solution that I'm going to recommend to people. It goes against some of the ways that I recommend creating podcast content. But, you know, here's the thing. I reserve judgment on the software solution. Who knows? There's a possibility. I would say there's at least a 45% chance that in the future, I may actually try this product, look at it, and decide, hey, I do want to become an affiliate partner with you on this. I do want to promote it, but I only want to promote it to these people. And I'm going to tell people who this may be right for and who I don't think it's going to be right for. And you know, so that's still down the road. But let's get back to the topic today, because this video was so wrong on so many levels. In fact, let me just share with you here. It's like I put every podcaster should avoid grow big and get rich quick systems because of these 4 exaggerated claims. And watch out for claims like these, because here's the thing. This video has been taken down. You as a consumer may have never actually been approached, and you may have never been able to see this particular video that I'm referring to. But this video was shared with thousands of people who were going to be potential affiliates, you know, internet marketers, if you will. But here are the exaggerated claims. And by the way, what I'm going to be sharing with you, these claims are word for word right from the slides and the actual script, what was the actual words that were being spoken during this video. So here is exaggerated claim number 1. It says, just by uploading simple podcast content, some podcasters are getting tens of thousands of prospects every month. All right. Just by uploading simple podcast content, some podcasters are getting tens of thousands of prospects every month. All right. And so here is my notes. Number 1, I'm sorry, but nobody is getting tens of thousands of prospects every month just by simply uploading podcast content. There is not one single person. I don't need 0, nobody. All right. And what am I saying? I'm saying there is not a single person that is getting tens of thousands of new prospects. I'm saying there's nobody who's getting tens of thousands. We're talking more than 10,000. We're talking 20,000 and above, or even forget that. There's nobody who's getting 10,000 new subscribers a month every month, or there's nobody who's getting 10,000 new listeners a month every single month, consistently, month after month after month. It's just not happened. 0. I don't know anybody. Now, have there been maybe 1 or 2 people in the past who have had that kind of growth? Yeah, Leo Laporte would be an example of somebody who experienced that. Also, some other people who already had millions of followers through their mainstream media experience and exposure as a celebrity in their own field. Yeah, those kind of people, they experienced that. But most of those people experienced it back in 2005. You and I, entrepreneurs, even my friends that I'm not going to say their names, you guys know who their names are, the big top podcasters in the business category, none of them are getting tens of thousands of new listeners every single month. Are some of them getting hundreds of thousands of listener downloads every month? Hundreds of thousands of downloads every month? Yes. Okay, but think about this. Hundreds of thousands of downloads. But, okay, to you and I, that may seem like tons, right? Well, first and foremost, you and I are probably, most of us are recording 1 show per week, 4 shows per month on average. These folks, 31 shows a month. Okay? So it's hundreds of thousands of downloads is nothing to sneeze at, but ask how many subscribers do you have? On average, how many people listen to every single episode? And it may be, by the way, it may be 10,000, 20,000. It may be 30,000. I don't know that I know. Matter of fact, I know some people, and I know some people who have about 20,000. I know some people who are pushing right around 30,000 downloads per episode. Not many people are going beyond that, and certainly none of them are getting tens of thousands or even thousands of new subscribers, new listeners every single month. Well, actually, I could buy into thousands, but tens of thousands of new every month? No. Exaggerated claim. Not happening. And certainly, if they are getting that, if there was even one example of a podcaster, not some podcasters, there are some podcasters out there who are doing this. If there was even one podcaster who was getting tens of thousands of new listeners, new individuals who were listening to their show every single month, they're bringing in this new crowd every single month. That number of people, I guarantee you, they weren't doing it just by simply uploading video podcast content. They were doing more. If anybody had ever done it, it's not by simply uploading podcast content. Afraid not. There's more work to it than that. That's exaggerated claim number one. Exaggerated claim number two. Listen to this. This is a huge opportunity to get tens of thousands of leads and customers quickly. Baloney. Nobody gets tens of thousands of new customers and leads quickly. No. If you get anywhere near that, it's because you already had access. You brought some of your existing prospects and customers with you. But this is it sounds a lot like the exaggerated claim number one. But what gets me here is the word quickly. I can tell you right now, out of every 1,000 podcasters that I've worked with, out of every 1,999 of them never see any explosive growth quickly. It just does not happen. I am not saying that there aren't people out there who have seen explosive growth quickly. There are some, there are a few, there are a handful that have seen explosive growth quickly. But simply, it's certainly not by just simply uploading podcast content. They're working a whole lot harder than most people, than the other 999 in networking, in marketing, in getting the word out. They're investing big bucks in doing things that make a big splash and get themselves noticed. Okay? They're going at it big time in a way that most people just don't have the resources, time, effort, or energy, or even network or personality to do. So to actually say that, hey, you can do this. This is a huge opportunity for you, Mr. Person watching this video, or the people who you're going to introduce to our platform. No, this is not a huge opportunity. Is podcasting a huge opportunity? Yes. Is it a huge opportunity to get new clients and new leads? Yes. Is it going to be thousands quickly? No. Afraid not. So, exaggerated claim number three. Here's it. This is, remember we had earlier by simply uploading? Here's another simply. You ready? By simply following up with email marketing and webinar marketing, here's a big keyword, many. All right, listen to the word many here. By simply following up with email marketing and webinar marketing, many of these podcasters are earning hundreds of thousands of dollars per month. Oh, many of these podcasters are earning hundreds of thousands of dollars per month. I want you to show me those many. I'd like to see them. Okay, so again, maybe there might be a handful. I'd say less than 5 that are probably in the business category of podcasts. I mean, now are there a couple celebrities out there who are making? Adam Carolla, the guy had mainstream media, millions of followers before he started. Leo Laporte, is he making he's making more than hundreds of thousands? Okay. But just your average entrepreneur, and by the way, this is a video that seems to be communicating that, hey, these are just entrepreneurs who actually have, created a business around, a specific niche, and they've created this podcast. And as a result, by creating this content, putting it online, by simply uploading it, they're getting hundreds of thousands, or they're getting tens of thousands of leads and customers. It's happening quickly. And by the way, so they simply uploaded this podcast content, which, by the way, uploading podcast content is not simple. And yes, this is promoting a software solution that is making it simpler, easier. But I'm going to tell you that it's not just the technical. The technical stuff is difficult up front. And I still recommend that even though podcasting could be easier, I suggest taking the hard road to learn how to do it the more difficult way, because oftentimes that's going to give you a better quality product. It's going to give you a better quality piece of content. It's going to give you better quality in a lot of other areas. And I don't need easy, I need worth it. But anyway, by simply uploading this, the tens of thousands, and now they've just, by the whim, they've uploaded this video content. They're simply following up with email marketing and webinar marketing, and many of these podcasters are earning hundreds of thousands of dollars per month. I have several problems with this claim. Problem number one, here's another variation of the word simple. I recommend that anytime you hear the word simple, that you put on your skeptical filter. Immediately throw up a wall. It's a protection mechanism. This is a way for you to protect yourself from being sold on something that you probably don't want. If all of a sudden they keep talking about how quickly you can achieve success, how simple it is, how easy it is, I'm not saying that those are all false every time you hear those words, but I certainly would say, whoa, let's step back a minute and gain some perspective here. Some perspective, by the way, email marketing and webinar marketing doesn't work unless you have something to market. All right. By simply sending out emails and simply doing a couple webinars, these people are making hundreds of thousands of dollars every month, many of them. I'm sorry, you do not make hundreds of thousands of dollars by simply writing a couple emails and holding up a couple webinars. No, my friends, and almost anyone who is generating any amount of money from emails and webinars are pouring a great deal of time, effort, and energy, and sometimes even lots of money into creating the product for which they're emailing their audience about and what they're doing webinars talking about. Hours and hours, countless hours of putting that content together, building that system, building that membership site. It's not simply sending an email and doing a webinar after you've simply uploaded your podcast content that you're making hundreds. That nobody does that. It's not easy. It's not simple. It's not quick. Anyway, that's exaggerated claim number 3. And then finally, exaggerated claim number 4. Here's that word many again, okay? Many of these podcasters are making 6 figures per month only working 1 day per week. I'm sorry, it's a lie. That is not true. This is total baloney BS stuff. I do not know a single human being. And by the way, I am close personal friends with at least 20 different decamillionaires. I'm talking, these people are extremely successful, and I have spent lots of time getting to know these people, asking them questions, learning about their business, learning about how they grew to be the success that they are. And nobody I've ever met who makes hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, by the way, which I know many who do, none of them got there by working 1 day a week. And I can tell you right now, there are a few podcasters out there that are in the top of the business category in iTunes. They do generate income reports on a monthly basis, and some of them are in the tens of thousands, and some of them might be in the hundreds of thousands, but I guarantee you not one of those people work only 1 day a week. I know them personally. I'm friends with them. It's not true. They may only create podcast content once a week and outsource the rest, but I guarantee you the things that lead to the money, negotiating sponsorships, creating these products and service, hosting webinars, putting together just the slides for the webinars, actually hosting and putting the webinars on and being there, being interviewed by lots of other people so that they can get the word about who they are and what they've got to offer, and creating the content and managing the outsourced people. This stuff is a full-time job, people. Nobody gets rich that quick. It doesn't happen. It's an exaggerated claim. So my friends, here's the thing. I want to give you a few closing thoughts. First and foremost, do I think the product that's getting ready to come out, and by the way, I'm not going to tell you the name of it. I'm sure most of you are going to probably hear a lot about it from a lot of people and stuff like that, and you'll be able to associate the two. The product is not the problem here. Do I think this product is a scam? No, I haven't even seen the product yet. All right. I was simply so turned off by the over-exaggerated claims in the video that I saw, inviting me to participate in promoting the product to my audience, that I didn't even want to see it. I immediately said, wow, I've got a podcast episode here. My gosh. There's a great chance that this offer could offer some tools to automate the processes that will help people build their mailing list from those who listens, and it will further automate and help you do things that I believe that we all should be doing more of, but we oftentimes let go. We don't do it because, well, it's too tedious, and they supposedly have a system they're building that makes that a little bit easier. And I think that could be great. Some of those solutions, some of the options that are available there might be very helpful. So this outrage is not at the product, it's the video. Now, and by the way, I could not agree. I just can't get behind anything where this marketing is promoting podcasting as this quick growth. You're going to have big audience quickly just by simply uploading content, follow it up with a couple emails, a couple webinars, and you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars. By the way, did the video state that you could do this? No. It said there are some people doing this. Do I believe there are anybody who's doing any of those things? I don't. I think that you could see how you might say, well, are there somebody who have grown a mailing list of tens of thousands of people as a result of their podcasting efforts? Yes, I know those people. Tens of thousands of people on their mailing list that are now. I know people with tens of thousands of subscribers to their podcast, but not that are getting tens of thousands of new subscribers every month, new leads, new customers every month. It's not happening. Do I know people who are making hundreds of thousands of dollars? Yes. Is it by simply doing this? No. Are they doing it just by working one day a week? No. So I was just, watch out for this stuff, folks. Here's my quote. I'm going to go to a quote. I've read it on this podcast many times before. This comes from the book Rework by Jason Fried. Jason Fried is he's the founder and CEO of 37 Signals, now AKA Basecamp. I think they officially changed the name of the business to Basecamp. Anyway, he wrote this book called Rework, and he wrote a section in there called The Myth of the Overnight Sensation. Let me read it to you, my friends. Anytime somebody tells you you can get rich quick, you can grow your audience quick, you're going to have tens of thousands of these new people, this is a huge opportunity. Don't delay. Sign up now. It's easier than anybody could ever tell you. Easy, 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 fast, fast, fast. Just do this. We got the formula, and you just do this and let it roll. Anytime you hear that, let me come back to this episode right here at 43 minutes and 20 seconds into this episode, and I want you to hear the myth of the overnight sensation. It says this: you will not be a big hit right away. You will not get rich quick. You are not so special that everyone else will instantly pay attention. No one cares about you. At least not yet. Get used to it. You know those overnight success stories you've heard about? It's not the whole story. Dig deeper. Seriously, dig deeper. And you'll usually find people who have busted their butts for years to get into a position where things could finally take off. And on the very rare occasion that instant success does come along, it usually doesn't last because there's no foundation there to support it. My friends, trade the dream of overnight success for slow, measured growth. It's hard, but you have to be patient. You have to do it for a long time. That's for those of you who listen to me on double speed. I'll slow it down. See? You have to do it for a long time before the right people notice. And that, my friends, is how I feel about those who claim to have anything to do to offer you the benefits of podcasting to help you grow big and get rich quick with anything that they have related to podcasting or anything else. So basically everything that I just said there, if you hear other claims like that, I encourage you to put a filter on and say, whoa, let me step back before I click any buttons to buy anything. And by the way, this product could be a great product, and I'm kind of hoping that it is. And I'll come back and maybe talk about it in the future. But right now, I was just so turned off by that marketing of that video invitation for me to be a joint venture that I just knew that I wanted to come and talk to you guys about it, because it's not what podcasting is about in my mind. And it's also, the occasional success story out there should never be promoted, in my opinion, as something most people could achieve or expect to achieve. I think I'm all about dreaming big. I'm all about setting big goals that sometimes cause you to wet your pants when you write them down, because you're just thinking, how on earth could I ever really achieve that? I'm all about dreaming big. But gosh, dreaming big and writing down big goals and then saying, you know what, I'm only going to simply upload a couple episodes. I'm going to send out an email. I'm going to host a webinar, and I'm going to do it all one day a week. I only got 3 hours extra each week or 8 hours extra each week to put towards this. No, sorry. Afraid not, my friends. All right. So there you go. Let's see here. The big announcement. I want to share with you a very exciting thing about New Media Europe. It is a brand new conference put together by my friends Mike and Isabella Russell. If you have not heard about Mike and Isabella Russell, then I encourage you to go over to musicradiocreative.com and check out the service they provide to podcasters. In fact, I have a brand new, I believe, I have a brand new audio branding special with them that you know what, let me just go ahead and play this audio branding special, and then I'll tell you about the conference. Let me go ahead and play this. I need a drink of water anyway. So let's play right here.
Take the sound of your podcast to the next level.
Podcast Answer Man presents an exclusive audio branding package for podcasters,
where only the best voiceovers, singers, musicians, and producers bring their knowledge and talent to you.
This exclusive package enables you to brand your podcast with an audio intro and outro that is both professional and memorable.
First impressions count.
Professional audio branding from Music Radio Creative is one way to make your podcast stand out above all the others in your category.
This exclusive Podcast Answer Man audio branding package includes
an amazing podcast intro produced with high-quality music and effects,
an exciting podcast outro optimized to take advantage of your main call to action,
an email consultation with an audio branding specialist to discuss your exact needs and priorities,
a complete script writing service, plus professional advice on the best choice of music and voice artist for your brand.
You can take your podcasting efforts to the next level today with the Podcast Answer Man audio branding package from just $299 exclusively at podcastanswerman.com/audio.
There you go. podcastanswerman.com/audio is my affiliate commission. Head over there if you are looking for a professional audio branding package for your podcast. Anyway, Mike and Isabella Russell last year did a conference in the UK called, I think it was Podcast UK or UK Podcast Conference. It was a huge success for them as far as what they had achieved as far as the attendance and just how well and well received it was. It was bigger than what they had anticipated. And it really got them excited about podcasting and new media overall in actually spreading it a little bit further in Europe. It seemed in their mind, I'm using their words, from the promotion or the promo, the announcement that they made earlier today, announcing the conference. They had said, hey, it seems like, this explosive growth of podcasting, it seems so US centric. It seems to be so big in the United States. A majority of podcasts are from the US and all this stuff. Not to say that there aren't and haven't been podcasts from all over Europe and other parts of the country, because there have been since this all started, but they seem to see a trend where so much of it is centered and focused in the United States. And they said, hey, we want to actually see blogging, podcasting, web TV, and social media. We want to see a big, huge worldwide approach. And specifically, we want to expand beyond the UK. We want to see all of Europe come together and really become a center of influence around the world in the area of podcasting, blogging, and web TV and social media as well, just to really help highlight and help ignite this opportunity and excitement for people all over Europe to get involved. So they actually decided to create a brand new conference called New Media Europe. And in fact, I'm going to go there right now. In fact, by the way, my podcast or my affiliate link for this conference, if you want to sign up for it, is podcastanswerman.com/Europe. All right. Or you can do podcastanswerman.com/UK. Either way will get you there. But podcastanswerman.com/Europe. And it's going to be in September of 2015 on September 12th and 13th. And it's going to be in Manchester in the UK. And I am delighted and honored to announce to you that I am going to be the opening keynote address for that conference. And matter of fact, I went to the SCORE conference last week as a second time as a student. And the reason why is because I was so positively impacted from my first experience at the SCORE conference, which is a conference that's devoted to teaching you on how to become a more dynamic communicator, specifically how to give better speeches from a stage. And I got so much out of it the first time. I wanted to actually take my public speaking even a step further, another next level step for me. And I did. While I was there, I was inspired. I got some great coaching, got some great feedback, helped me take what I'm going to be doing to the next level. And while I was in Colorado, knowing all of this time that I was going to have to develop a new opening keynote address for New Media Europe, I already figured out exactly what I'm going to say from the stage. In fact, I've already done a practice run about 4 or 5 times, a 5-minute version of that talk that I had to give. I know the opening illustration or story that I'm going to start with. And I just go ahead and share with you now real quickly just the overall gist of my message. And it is going to be there. The overall gist of my message in my talk is going to be, it's important for us to understand, uncover, discover, and dig deep to find the treasures, that the 3 treasures that already exist for you in the audience that you already have for your podcast. Now, of course, I know that this is an opening keynote for a conference that's not just podcasting, but it's also bloggers or YouTubers and all these other people that are creating content online. And the reality is this message about the existing audience you have, these treasures that you can find, and how to take your efforts to the next level will apply to everybody creating content for the web. And so I am so excited. I'm beside myself. In fact, Stephanie and I are taking our entire family of 5. So it's going to be myself and Stephanie, our 3 children. And in fact, we're already making plans to take an entire month-long European vacation. So there'll be even more announcements about some things that are going on, probably at, the weeks following that conference. I'm going to do a one-day event, one day after, I believe, that conference in the UK, or maybe it's going to be one day before. So if you decide that you're going to go to this conference, New Media Europe, I encourage you to definitely stay an extra day after or an extra day before, and because I'm going to do a one-day event, just like I've been doing a lot recently. And yeah, so I'm excited about it. If you want to sign up, get more information, whatever the case, go over to podcastanswerman.com/Europe. And with that, I do want to share with you one final thing, and I got just enough time to talk about it. And that is, I'm getting ready to head out in a couple more weeks back to Colorado again. But this time, instead of actually working on my public speaking training at a conference, I'm actually going to be speaking at a conference. Michael Hyatt, my great friend, Michael Hyatt and Ken Davis are putting on a third platform conference. You can learn more about that conference at platformconference.tv. And I will be speaking at that conference. Now, let me tell you some of the other folks that are going to be speaking at this conference off the top of my head. Well, Michael Hyatt's going to be speaking. Ken Davis is going to be speaking. By the way, both of those amazing speakers. I'm going to be speaking there. My friend Ray Edwards is going to be speaking there. My friend Pat Flynn is going to be speaking there. And my friend Amy Porterfield is going to be speaking there. And I think I know a couple other speakers that are going to make some return speaking engagements there. So it's going to be an awesome event. And then, and this is what I want to tell you about, one day after that, in fact, let me just go over here real quickly to nextlevelstudio.tv. Nextlevelstudio.tv is the event page for a one-day workshop with Cliff and Ray. So it's one day with Cliff and Ray. It's going to be on Wednesday, November 12th, 2014, the day after the platform conference has ended. In fact, that evening, the final day of the conference, we will, on Tuesday night, have dinner with those who are signed up for this event, registered for this event. Ray and I, and Stephanie's going to be with me. We're going to have dinner with up to 20 people who are registered for the Next Level one-day workshop. And what we're going to do is spend the entire next day together working on building relationships that are going to transform all of our lives. And when I say all of our lives, it's not just Cliff and Ray are going to transform the lives of people that are there. Myself and Ray included, our lives are also going to be transformed as a result of this one day of connecting deep with people. And in fact, some of the folks who are already going to be there, Kent Julian, I know Kathleen Thompson, and I think as of today, we just registered our fifth and sixth person for this event. So there are still a few seats available for this one-day event. And let me just share with you, first of all, it's going to be at the Broadmoor Resort in Colorado Springs, Colorado. If nothing else, go to go to nextlevelstudio.tv and see the photo of this resort. It's absolutely stunning looking. I can't wait to get there. Stephanie and I have decided to be there that entire week. I can't wait to sit back and relax. And I have no doubt Stephanie's going to spend some time at the spa as well. But anyway, we are going to have dinner together on Tuesday the 11th and then Wednesday the 12th. Let me share with you what the day is going to look like. First of all, we're going to have a morning session where we do what's called the Deeper Connection session. This is where we're going to get to know each other on a much deeper level than you would normally ever get the opportunity to have at a conference or at an event. Because we're only going to have a limit of 20 people there, we're actually going to be able to go much deeper and get to know, who each other are. What are our hopes, fears, and dreams? What are our experiences? And the goal is to take these relationships that are formed during this one day and continue those relations on, to let this be a catalyst for things that, who knows what may happen as a result of us coming together and forming these deeper connections with one another. So that's what the first session of the day is about, is about deeper connections. The second session is called the Next Level Resources session. This is going to be a 1 hour, is it a 1 hour? An hour and 15 minutes. So Ray and I are going to do rapid fire succession sharing of different resources that we use, things that we use in our business, tips, tactics, things how we organize our life, how we organize our business, how we build relationships, tips on how we follow up with people, how we can, just pretty much. It goes all the way from iPhone applications that we use, desktop applications, web applications, but it's even the books that we read. It's the how we use software, and it's not just technology, but other resources. Like, for example, I'm going to talk about the power of having in-person physical meetups and how to promote those. I'm going to share, the different things about taking pictures at conferences. Ray's going to share all kinds of things about how he accomplishes and has built his business to be what it is today. It's going to be a great session. Then we're going to have lunch there, and we're providing that, and it's going to be a great time of community building around the lunch session. But then in the afternoon, we're going to have this thing called the most valuable resource session. And that's where every attendee that's going to be there is going to come and share their best advice. The one thing that has worked the greatest for them. What's the single greatest investment they've ever made to help take what they're doing to the next level? And that could be a conference that they have attended and what they learned from it. It could be a book that they've read. It could be a software solution that they have. It's kind of like what Ray and I were during what we had done in the morning. We're going to allow each person in the group to kind of share what they're doing. And let me tell you, I've been at a lot of one-day mastermind events, one-day events where we connect with people in this way and have this kind of sharing. And every single time I come back, it's just amazing the different things that I've learned, like Text Expander and how to maintain inbox zero as a result of some of the principles and practices that these people have shared at these events. And then the final session of that day is an AMA with Cliff and Ray. And AMA stands for Ask Me Anything. And so Ray is going to be up there, I'm going to be up there, and people are going to be able to just ask us anything. You could ask me anything about podcasting. You can ask anything you want about internet marketing and Infusionsoft and all that stuff to Ray and copywriting to Ray. You can ask us about our faith. You can ask us about our personal lives. You can ask us about anything during that session. It's going to be amazing. And of course, we're going to make sure that we have plenty of opportunity that day for all of us to get photos together, and not to mention the fact that there's also a Facebook group that as you register for this event, we immediately want to get you involved and plugged into a private Facebook group so that we can start to have conversations, start to get to kind of know who's coming to this event and have conversation leading up to it. But then certainly when it comes to dinner on Tuesday night and then spending all day Wednesday, we're going to take those relationships and form something that's going to be life transformational. And the important thing is that beyond that day, we will have this Facebook group as an opportunity for us to continue to connect with one another, to encourage one another. And I'm looking for big things as a result of it. So if you want to sign up for our one day with Cliff and Ray and other like-minded people, I believe that it could definitely be something that you would look back upon a couple years down the road. You're going to look back and say, I'll never forget the investment I made to go to that one-day workshop. And if that's what you want to be able to do, I encourage you to go to nextlevelstudio.tv. And you know what, my friends? I've been talking. I'm already over an hour. I'm just going to go ahead and click this little button and say, until next time, I encourage you to take everything you do to the next level.
Podcast Answer Man.
And for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, that wraps it up. I have already stopped the audio recording, and I am now going to stop the video recording. I want to say thank you for watching on YouTube. It is a little bit of an extra work and a distraction for me to create the video recording. I've always done the live stream. The live stream is not a problem. People usually just sit there and watch me do my thing. But it is a little bit more work to create the YouTube version of this. If you are enjoying the YouTube version of this recording, it's important to let me know, because it's that one thing that keeps me hitting the record button at the same time I hit record on the audio. And especially the fact, let me just share with you, I Actually, I'll just tell you. Somebody left a comment last week. It's like, dude, will you just stop with the video already? You keep talking about the slippery slope. I'm sick and tired of the video, blah, 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 talking about this, talking about that. Why don't you just stop focusing on the video? Well, you get, of course, that's just one person. But the reality is I think that this could be valuable to many of you out there. And I know that about 15 of you have said, hey, Cliff, I really enjoyed the video. And so just keep giving me the thumbs up. You don't have to say anything. Just give me a thumbs up on the video. And if you haven't told me already that you love the video on YouTube, then I'd love to hear that from you as well. Just continue to keep me encouraged to create the video side of this, to get those uploaded as well. It adds about an extra hour and a half to my whole regimen of things that I do, and it does make the podcast, the audio version, a little bit less editable unless I add even more post-production work. But I'm happy to do it for you if you're enjoying it, and that's all I'm asking. Let me know. All right, with that, I'll see you next week.